Hello, thank you for providing me this opportunity to share my thoughts on this interesting topic. Being responsible and being creative are usually perceived as two different ends of the pole. However, I firmly believe that they are complementary to each other, and in fact, one cannot be creative without feeling responsible towards the planet. I represent a multidisciplinary design firm which is committed totally to taking care of our planet and its people. Climate change has woken up everyone and forced us all to rethink our models of growth and development. In the search of economic progress, we realized that we are depleting all our resources that makes our existence possible. We are a team who loves this planet and would love to serve our clients and help them in creating wonderful buildings, spaces, and products that are sustainable, easy to maintain, joy to use, and cost effective. Our insistence on excellence, technology integration, and scientific approach help us achieve this, and all this keeping the growth of the people, our team, our clients, and the vendors at the center. During these last 50 odd days of staying and working from home, as a team, we utilized the time to gather our thoughts about the professional practice and ended up creating the Green Manifesto. As a firm, we have delivered over 20 certified green building projects, a majority of which are platinum rated. Now, take a look at this picture. This is from one of our own projects. It's an interiors for an apartment at Surat. The contemporary interiors represents to us the aspirations of the clients and the designers of the region where we are based out of. This was relatively a low budget project with a budget of about rupees 90 lakhs for the 2500 square feet apartment. So let us understand what was done to get this space ready for this picture. The luminaire is made of acrylic and stainless steel. Both these materials are products of complex mining and energy guzzling manufacturing processes. The flooring is a beige colored marble mined from a mountain quarry in Italy. The sofa are clad in animal leather, the animals being raised for this purpose all their life. Majority of the AC parts are made in plastics and metals, or again manufactured through very complex industrial processes. AC uses aluminum, copper, and steel, and all these ores are mined from various geographies. The manufacturing of plywood involves cutting of various soft and hardwood trees in different forests of India. The curtain fabrics are manufactured by a long chain of processes from growing cotton to making yarns, dyeing and processing into usable cloth. At every stage, it involves processes that require tremendous amount of energy. An ashwood tree needs to be grown and cut and then sliced to produce the skin. Then it's pasted on plywood at very high temperatures to obtain the veneer. Over this, the sealers and the chemical coats are sprayed for protection. These chemicals are manufactured through complex processes, sometimes hazardous too. The solid teak wood used for the furniture is obtained by cutting the mature and semi-mature teak wood trees. The paint are the chemicals which are usually very high on volatile organic compounds, and they are manufactured in places which allow extremely hazardous industries. The acrylic blended rug are woven on machines using natural wool blended with acrylic fibers prepared in the factories. This shows the place from where each of these items have traveled to become a part of this living room at Surat. For instance, the marble traveled from Italy, the AC from Japan, paint from UAE, the leather from New Zealand, furniture and lights from China, and so on. The yellow dot indicates where the site is, and the two lines indicate about 1,000 kilometers of distance. It's crazy to know how much we made things travel to create an average living room interior in a tier 2 city of India. It took practically 4 continents to make this picture happen. In short, a lot of things have been moved, a lot of energy has been spent, A lot of resources have been used. Almost 50,000 kilometers of cumulative travel is not a joke. Now try extrapolating this from a living room to the entire apartment, to the building, to the city and the country, and then to the planet. It's not difficult to realize how insane all this seems to be. To understand this at a macro level, let's try to understand where does all these materials come from and how. Fundamentally, to make any of the materials that we use, we require three things. Number one, raw materials. The iron, metals, and stones that we use come through mining processes. There are various forms of mining and is done by cutting mountains, digging pits in the flat ground, mining in deep seas and oceans, and also through making underground tunnels. The renewable sources of materials include the stuff we get from the forest and the agriculture produces. Number two, energy. For any process, we need energy, either electrical or heat energy. For this, we have been relying on oil and natural gas mining and the coal mining, which takes place on the ground as well as in water. Three, transportation. The third important input required for making materials include extensive transportation of the materials from mines to factories or from factories to the market and site. This keeps the game on. In the last few decades post-industrialization, we have been going at a bizarre pace and using up all these resources rapidly. Let's take a stock of what we are left with. As a country, we are just left with oil reserves to last 19 years, iron ore to last 28 years, and coal reserves to last just 80 years. What happens to the generations after that? The ever-increasing CO2 levels because of the present transportation modes has led to speeding up of the global warming and triggering the climate change. It's painful to know that we have lost nearly 30% of the species from the planet in the last 30 years because of the global warming and reckless mining. This sentence by the father of our nation, spoken nearly a century back, has become more important than ever to understand. In the mad rush and greed, we have managed to get to the brink of exhausting all our resources. As designers, our paradigms about how we design needs very serious shifts. Beautiful is not anymore only about how things look. Beautiful is so much about how much less harm the creation has done to our planet. So what I intend to do today is share a glimpse of three of our projects done over a longer time span in our professional practice. All the three projects have one thing in common. They have managed to win the IIID Design Excellence Award and are across diverse categories of residence, office, and healthcare interiors. The first project is an apartment for a then young and passionate graphic designer who aspired to create his dream home for his wife and two daughters. The small space was to house a two-bedroom with attached bathrooms, a living room for about 10 to 12 persons, and a comfortable dining and kitchen. The real game changer of this project was the tight site of just about 69 square meters and a super tight budget of rupees 5 lakhs for the interiors, which comes to about 675 rupees per square feet. Being really pushed in the corner with this challenge, we took an out of the box approach to achieve the seemingly impossible. When we first visited this site, we were shocked. This place, located on the second floor of an apartment in an older part of the city, was in a mess, with a lot of demolition carried out by the former users of this apartment. This laid out a clear path for a wonderful design adventure. I headed with my team to the flea market, a weekly market which happens on every Saturday at Surat. This is the place where the city's scavengers sort out the apparently useless things and sell them. We were delighted to do an extensive shopping for the interiors from this place for consequently 3 Saturdays. Major part of the shopping included lots of automobile parts, some pipes, and so on. The other materials used for the project are existing door frames, broken tiles, and some leather pieces which our sofa contractor promised to give us at a very little price. The name 69 Infinite delivers its creation of infinity using a system of 9 irregular shaped cushion polygons. It thereby offers an unlimited flexibility in the utilization of spaces, including a living room, a party space, and 2 bedrooms. Arranging them along its various sides will create innumerable patterns with modularity massively dependent on plain geometric rules. They were clad with the colorful wastage leather pieces that our sofa contractor had provided. So here are some of the innumerable options that could be formed using these 9 blocks. They can be arranged to make 3 queen-size beds in the night and can be again rearranged to accommodate the seating for about 15 guests when needed. A sliding wall slides out to divide the space into 2 bedrooms when needed. The curved storage unit is designed to take care of all the storage needs of the family. It takes care of the wardrobes, dressing unit, crockery unit, library, kitchen store, and so on. This was a wonderful exercise in understanding the potential of common objects and how they can be recycled into some very unique objects for the project. For instance, a Bonvita bottle with a suspension spring around it transformed into a flower vase. Can you make out those round lights? They are from the old Premier Padmini cars. They are the headlights. The table lamp is from the Honda car. During those times, the bathroom faucet industry was still evolving in India, and a cascading waterfall unit was introduced by a very well-known brand. Jabir's daughter aspired for it, and it was created by fixing a square SS pipe and using 2 angle cocks. The view of the living space with the partition shutters opened up. The view from the other side. Uh, Viewing from the dining area. The happy faces of these kids make the efforts worth it. In fact, when I visited them one day after they had moved in, the young daughter had lined up the 9 blocks in a very interesting way to create an obstacle course within the house, expanding the space way beyond the 69 square meters, virtually into a park. 5 years after Jabir's house, there came an opportunity in the form of our new office premises. Before that, we operated by converting a floor of my mother's gynec hospital into our design studio in 2001, where we began. The building was originally constructed sometime in 1950s, and this was our first lesson in adaptive reuse, which also incidentally brought us our first recognition as a designer in form of the IIA Young Architect Award. In 2009, along with a friend who wanted to start a garments boutique, we bought a piece of land measuring about 600 square yards. Knowing the clients and usage in advance helped, as the building envelope is a direct expression of the usage. The lower 2 floors needed blank walls for display, and the upper 3 needed good daylight and views. The exteriors has random zigzag architectural projections to create deep-seated windows, which get adequate protection from sun and the rain. So the fourth floor is the public floor, where the people and the visitors enter. It primarily consists of 5 meeting rooms, the reception, waiting area, admin, and a den where me and my wife Saloni sit and design. As you go up on the 5th floor, it has the design studios. There are 4 parallel design studios with varying size and accommodating a total team strength of about 55. The terrace floor plan indicates a garden and a conference room sitting in the garden. The project follows a very rudimentary and basic material palette, the materials which are very easy to maintain and manage, like the form finished concrete or the mild steel, pine wood, Karappa stone, etc. Usually, any site, by the time it's completed, produces a lot of wastage. Of all the materials that go in, what is to be disposed at the end is sometimes to the tune of about 20%. This could include pieces of plywood, wood, reinforcement bars, pieces of stone, packaging materials, containers for chemicals, and so on. These are carried into trucks and tractors to faraway places where they are dumped into the soil. So the unnecessary transport adds to the CO2 to the atmosphere. And where these are dumped, the fertile soil often loses its fertility forever because of the hazardous chemical content in these waste. So as an office, we took up the challenge not to throw away anything which the building produces and make it a practically zero wastage project. So the cans from the water-based PU coatings became the pigeonholes for managing post for the team members. The pine and the deodar wood planks used as the shuttering of the ceiling of this farm finished concrete building were dried, cleaned, and used for making furniture partitions between the spaces. That's my den. The floor has a rug made of from wasted leather pieces, and a 125-year-old safe is where we store our tea and coffee sachets. Most of the office has stained concrete floor, a decision made to save on the usage of stones being quarried and also to minimize the wastage that we need to take care in the end. This is the boardroom on the terrace floor. The bamboos that you see in the terrace garden are nothing but the reused scaffolding. Here is the view of the terrace garden. The lawn very effectively helps keeping the roof slab cool and thereby reducing our AC bills significantly. The zigzag stone on the top of the seatings all along the terrace are made with the wasted stones fixed on the sills of the jagged edged facade. There used to be a palm tree right in the center of the plot when we purchased it. We could not save the tree. However, the trunk was reused to create a sit-out space for the teams during better weather. We were reluctant in buying ready-made light fixtures and were looking for idea how the design of the light fixtures can help us reduce the carbon footprint. So we decided to reuse the inferior quality and used GI plumbing keys and elbows and pipes to design an entire family of light fixtures to meet different purposes. So here are these lights of various types and sizes. It's been nearly 8 years now, and last year we replaced all the CFLs with LED lamps. View of my work then. Everywhere in the office, the windows are kept at height, which really increases the daylight penetration. And we practically do not switch on any lights during the office hours almost the year round. The lighting in the studios is designed to provide lights on the working surface and the ambience without producing any glare for the comfort of the users. An interesting object in the design studios are the partitions, which are totally assembled using magnets and no screws, making it very easy to change the wires and cables when needed. So here's how it's done. It's really a piece of cake. The mild steel also allows us to stick magnets and thereby use all the surfaces as pin-up boards. This is one of the studios on the floor. We have preferred glass partitions between the 4 studios as against the total open floor plan to save on the energy bills of the AC and also to decrease the noise levels traveling all over the floor and disturbing everyone. The third project is relatively a recent one. It's an adaptive reuse of an existing eye hospital to a wellness center for women. This is an interesting concept of clubbing the variety of consultation needs of women from adolescent to menopause in one place along with some key diagnostic and radiology facilities. When my sister, a gynecologist, approached me with this idea, we became very excited to understand it, since this was a unique proposition and would demand a very creative solution. When we visited the site, it turned out to be an existing facility for eye care measuring about 3,400 square feet. It had OTs, consulting rooms, waiting areas, utility areas, a pharmacy, and an optical shop. Aesthetically, we found it a stereotype corporate chain type ambience, which would be highly unsuitable for the needs of the unique concept. There was a part of the ophthalmology clinic which was to be retained for future. So, after understanding in detail the needs of the diverse branches of women care that were to function here, we reached an agreeable layout. We arrive in the central block where there is the front desk, waiting, pharmacy, and optical store. As one climbs to the right block, it is another waiting area surrounded by a number of consulting rooms and the radiology and mammography sections. The block to the left of the central block accommodates another waiting area catering to the physiotherapy section, dietitian's consultation chamber, and the retained small ophthalmology clinic. As an interior designer, it's usually very easy to start with the clean slate at site and conceptualize the project in totality. At times, when the consultancy fees are linked with the project cost, this pushes the designer to use brand new materials. However, with a clear conscious mandate of doing our bit as a designer, we decided to set an example for us of genuine sustainable resource utilization. So the first clue for space planning naturally came from the given situation. The ophthalmic clinic already had a lot of defined rooms for various procedures and also an operation theater block. We decided to retain most of the existing wooden partitions and cleared up the OT block in totality, leaving the flooring intact. All we did was to cover up these partitions with new laminates so as to gel with the overall aesthetics of the center. We decided to leave the gypsum ceiling suspended uh, ceiling in almost 60% of the project area. All we did was to replace the existing CFL lamp fixtures with far more energy efficient LED luminaires. The second opportunity for resources conservation was offered by the existing set of furniture, like the large reception table, about 50-seater waiting sofa, and some other loose furniture. Now the challenge was to reuse these very typical commercial waiting lounge sofa and make them enhance the feminine character of the space. All the chrome metal parts of the sofa were painted in matte finished enamel paint, and in came a gust of traditional Indian fabrics to upholster them, replacing the old black leatherite. Having reused all that was possible to reuse of what was existing, now the focus was on the new furniture to be made. All we did was to regularly visit and hunt the godowns of the carpetiers. They are the scavengers who dismantle old houses and when they are taken down. Until we found almost all the remaining consultation tables, all kinds of chairs for the doctors and patients, and some end tables and coffee tables that we could use. When all of this was restored and polished in the similar tone, they just started to belong to the clinic. To enhance the indoor air quality, care was taken that each and every paint and wood polish specifications were with very low VOC products, and some oxygen enhancing plants have also been used. So what used to be like this transformed into this. The boring and uninspiring waiting areas then started looking like this. The reused furniture started making the consulting rooms. However, there, were, there was one issue. The doctors were adamant on having the chairs with casters for convenience of getting up frequently. We tried to explain them how terrible a typical office chair would look and it would kill the entire space. And we all happily settled for this. Colors have been used freely in the various spaces to make this so much unlike a typical depressing hospital. So here is the red room after the blue and the green. The compact park benches put for the waiting become interesting elements enhancing the spirit of the space. The physiotherapy room. For the washrooms, we looked for the items that could be reused, and we ended up with old photo frames for the mirrors and the bowls and flat vases for the wash basins. We were actively exploring ideas to add feminine character to the space and zoomed in to explore our traditional crafts and textiles to bring the spaces alive. So as one enters the large background wall behind the reception table showcases the Navrasas, a composition of abstract murals depicting the nine rasas or the nine emotions of a woman used in traditional Indian dance form. The wall behind the waiting sofa displays 12 paintings in a style inspired by the great Indian painter Jamini Roy. These paintings, in a very interesting, never before way, illustrate the various services offered by the Wellness Center, uh, like antenatal care, adolescent care, menopausal care, and so on. These really liven up the central waiting area. The wall behind the lounge seating in the right block proudly displays a collage of various traditional Indian ornaments used by an Indian woman. This creation, called Abhushan, was done with the help of an artisan who specializes in painting ornaments in gold for the images of Hindu gods. This is how it sits in the space. With due respect to Da Vinci, meet our Monali bin, a print of Mona Lisa clad in traditional Indian garments. This truly has become the biggest selfie point in the premise and really depicts the spirit of the space. Yet another art installation in the same place consists of a bunch of various traditional Indian textiles fixed in embroidery rings of varied sizes and composed on the wall to bring out the vivacity or the diversity in the Indian textiles. In the waiting area near ophthalmology department, fitness and diet sections, a large 6 feet installation of a pair of spectacles named Drashti flaunts on the wall. It is created using a technique of nails and dyed threads. All the three projects have a few things in common. Number one, they help in significantly bringing down the carbon footprint of the project. Number two, the per square feet cost of none of these projects exceeds rupees 1200 per square feet. And number three, all the three projects do not hold back on creativity, making it a win-win-win for the planet, client, and the designer. On a serious note, going forward, it becomes very important for the designers to start understanding the entire building life cycle, whereby and large Most of the materials once used in the construction keeps on being processed and reused again and again so as to consume lesser and lesser new resources. One point I would like to make here about the IGBC Green Interiors Rating System, which is now in place for almost 5 years. We have got many of our projects certified through this. But more than the certification, it's the process which we love. It makes the designer so much aware and so much accountable for every design decision he makes. Across the broad heads are like eco-design approach, water conservation, energy efficiency, interior materials, indoor environment, and innovations. It takes the designer through a very educative process, offering him or her amazing tools to exhibit the prowess as a designer. Out of the total of 100 points for a new interior, the interior materials section, which was, which was the focus in today's case presentation, takes care of 23 credit points. These cover a variety of subjects like waste segregation, waste management, usage of local materials, recycled content of materials, salvage materials, eco-friendly wood, and so on. In the end, I would like to conclude with one more quote from Gandhiji, which is so timeless and always helped, inspired me. Be the change you want to see in the world. I would like to extend my gratitude to V. Sureshji, our guru at IGBC, and the graceful National President of IIID, Ms. Jabin, for giving me this opportunity to share my views. And thank you all for your patience here. Thank you.